Hello everyone, this is your friend Naruto Fix, and we are back with another epic What If Naruto fanfic. Which is, what if Naruto's last wish pulled him back in time to protect those he failed? If you love Naruto fanfics, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the journey with me. So, let's start the fanfic. The battlefield was silent, not the tense silence before a fight, not the breathless moment between two clashing jutsu. This was the silence of the end. Naruto Uzumaki, 7th Hokage, hero of the shinobi world, the man who bore every burden and still smiled, lay on his back amid the smoldering ruins of Konoha. The sky above him was blackened with ash, choked by a jutsu so massive even Kurama had trembled. He had failed, again, but this time, it was final. His vision flickered as he tried to lift an arm, just one more time, one more push, anything to protect the village he loved, but his body refused. His chakra was gone. Kurama's presence, once a roaring flame within him, was now only a half-warm ember, fading. Sorry, Kurama," Naruto whispered, tasting blood. "Looks like, even I reached my limit." Kurama didn't answer. Kurama couldn't answer. Naruto knew why, and the grief hit him harder than any enemy ever had. He closed his eyes, feeling the world around him darken. The ground trembled in the distance, distant screams, collapsing structures, the fading remnants of a war he had lost. An enemy too strong, too ancient, too merciless had finally broken what remained of the shinobi world. He had promised everyone, Boruto, Himawari, Hinata, Kakashi-sensei, Sakura-chan, Sasuke, that he would protect them all. But even promises had limits. He had held on long enough for Boruto and Himawari to escape. He had held on long enough for the last survivors of Konoha to flee. But he had not held on long enough to win. As darkness crept into the edges of his vision, a thought came to him, a single wish, rising from the depths of his heart with all the desperation of a dying man begging for just one more chance. I wish I could protect them. I wish I could fix everything I messed up. I wish I had one more chance. A warm drop fell onto his cheek. Naruto realized belatedly, it was his own tear. His voice cracked as he whispered, "If anyone's listening, even you, stupid fate, please, let me try again. Let me protect them. Let me protect everyone I failed." And then, something answered. The ground beneath him shuddered. The air vibrated. Even the darkness halted, like the world itself had paused its slow fade to black. A small, tiny light appeared above his chest, pale, shimmering, like a firefly made of chakra. Naruto blinked, confused. Then another light joined. Then another, and another. Countless motes of light swirled above him, faster and faster, forming a spiraling vortex. His battered body lifted slightly off the ground as though drawn toward the glow. What is this? No answer came. The world simply reacted. The lights wrapped around him, sinking into his skin. Pain shot through him, a deep, twisting ache that made even his shinobi-hardened nerves flare in agony. It felt like his chakra coils were being torn apart. Like something was pulling him apart and rebuilding him at the same time. The last thing he saw before everything dissolved was a familiar silhouette, Kurama's great form, but whole, bright, roaring with life. "Brat," the fox said, voice firm but strangely gentle. "Don't waste this chance." Naruto tried to reach for him. Then the world shattered, and rebuilt, and shattered again, and rebuilt. He fell through light, through darkness, through something too vast for words. Memories spun around him, his first battles, his friends, the faces of those he lost, Neji, Jiraiya, Kurama, too many. He screamed, not in fear, in determination. "If this is real, if this is a chance, then I'll protect them this time. No matter what." When the spinning stopped, he hit solid ground with a thud. Team, why does this crap always happen to me? He froze. His voice, it sounded higher, lighter, younger. He opened his eyes. Wooden training posts. Dusty open ground. A broken, old swing. A massive face carved into the mountain. Only the third Hokage's face was there, the fourth's just incomplete. Naruto's breath caught in his throat. He knew this place. He knew this exact angle of sunlight, the smell of old chalk dust, the faint chatter of academy students. He was in the academy courtyard. Before he graduated. Before he became a genin. Before everything. His hands trembled as he lifted them into view, small hands, tiny hands, too smooth to have been through years of war. His fingers shook hard enough he almost dropped to his knees. No way, this is, I'm a kid again. Quote. His heart pounded so violently he thought it would burst. He wasn't dreaming. He wasn't hallucinating. Somehow, some impossible how, his wish had brought him back. He quickly checked himself. His clothes, old, ragged orange. His chakra, tiny, undeveloped, like a flicker of flame inside a lantern. But his soul, his memories, everything else, was still him. I'm really back in time. He didn't know how. He didn't know why. He only knew one thing. He had another chance. A slow, trembling smile formed on his lips. Hey, guess fate finally stopped being a jerk. Footsteps echoed behind him. Naruto stiffened, instinctively, like a battle-worn shinobi reacting to the slightest sound. But when he turned, it was Iruka, alive, whole, exactly as Naruto remembered him in his childhood, hair tied up, the scar across his nose, the kindest eyes Naruto had ever known. Oi, Naruto, Iruka shouted from across the courtyard. What are you doing out here? Class is starting. Naruto's throat closed. He couldn't move, couldn't speak. That voice, that warmth, it had been years since he had heard it. Iruka frowned, walking closer. Naruto, are you feeling okay? Did something happen? Naruto's breath hitched. He took one shaky step forward. Then another. His body moved on its own, like a child running home. Iruka blinked in surprise as Naruto stopped right in front of him, staring up with wide eyes full of tears he didn't understand. Naruto, he repeated, softer now. Hey, what's wrong? Naruto couldn't hold it anymore. He threw his arms around Iruka's waist and hugged him tightly. Iruka froze, shocked. Naruto had never hugged him like this before. But Naruto didn't care. I thought I lost you, he whispered, voice trembling. I thought I'd never hear your voice again. Iruka slowly placed a hand on his head, confused but gentle. Naruto, I'm right here. You're okay. You're safe. Safe. A word Naruto hadn't felt in years. He squeezed his eyes shut and inhaled shakily. I'm going to protect him this time. Protect everyone. When Naruto finally pulled away, Iruka looked concerned but smiled. Well, come on. You don't want to be late for class, right? Naruto did something he hadn't done at this age. He smiled back, genuinely. Yeah, let's go, Iruka-sensei. He followed Iruka inside, heart steadying as he walked the familiar wooden hallways. Students whispered as he passed, mocking, curious, indifferent. He remembered all of it. Every comment, every pointed finger, every lonely moment. But this time, he wasn't the same boy. He wasn't alone. And he wasn't powerless. As he stepped into the classroom, a dozen familiar faces turned toward him, Choji munching chips, Shikamaru half asleep, Kiba arguing with someone, Ino bragging about something irrelevant, Sakura sitting primly, Sasuke staring out the window with that broody perfection Naruto had always hated and admired. Seeing them all again, alive, young, untouched by the horrors of the future, Naruto felt something twist in his chest. He wouldn't let any of them die this time. He wouldn't let them break. He wouldn't let their futures be stolen. Iruka began explaining something about transformation jutsu. Naruto barely heard. His mind raced instead. If I'm really back, what's my first move? How do I stop everything? How do I save everyone? The Fourth Great Ninja War. Pain's attack. Akatsuki. Sasuke's descent. Obito. Madara. Kaguya. There were too many threats. Too many timelines. Too many enemies. But he wasn't alone this time. He had knowledge. He had experience. He had 20+ years of mistakes to correct. Slowly, Naruto's lips curled into a determined grin. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I don't go back on my word. And I'm gonna change everything. The first bell rang. Life restarted. Naruto's first step toward rewriting fate began the moment Iruka called him up to demonstrate the transformation jutsu. The class snickered. They remembered, this Naruto had always failed. But this Naruto wasn't that Naruto. He walked to the front calmly. "All right, Naruto," Iruka said. "Whenever you're ready." Sasuke smirked faintly, already expecting Naruto to embarrass himself. But Naruto closed his eyes, inhaling deeply. His chakra was tiny, but precise control. That was something he had mastered long ago. He formed the seals slowly, methodically. Dog, boar, ram. A rush of chakra, clumsy, but controlled, flowed through him. Transformation jutsu. A puff of smoke. Instead of failing spectacularly or turning into a half-dressed woman as he used to, Naruto transformed cleanly into the third Hokage's likeness, flawless, accurate, perfect height and proportions. Gasps filled the room. Even Iruka's jaw dropped. Naruto. This is incredible. Naruto let the transformation fade, smiling awkwardly as everyone stared in disbelief. He scratched the back of his head. Hee, guess I got lucky. But inside, he thought. That's step 1. Show them I'm not useless. Gain trust sooner. Build bonds earlier. Stop tragedies before they begin. Iruka marked something on his clipboard, still stunned. Naruto walked back to his seat, ignoring the whispering classmates. His eyes drifted toward Sasuke, the boy who would become his brother, his rival, his enemy, his ally, his burden. Sasuke stared at him, really stared, frowning, puzzled. Naruto met his eyes for a brief moment. I'm going to save you first, team. I won't let you fall into darkness this time. But he couldn't make it obvious. He couldn't risk changing things too fast. He needed a plan. A long, slow, careful plan. As Iruka continued the lesson, Naruto leaned back in his seat, thinking hard. I need strength. Faster than before. I need allies. Earlier than before. I need to stop the chain of events that leads to everything collapsing. And the first step was simple. Get strong. Get trusted. Get acknowledged. And after that, everything else. Naruto looked out the window at the peaceful village, a village that didn't yet know the storms that would come. I'm gonna save you all. This time, I swear it. Naruto left the academy building later than usual. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the village streets. Kids ran home laughing, vendors called out their final sales of the evening, and shinobi returned from missions with tired but relieved expressions. Naruto stood still, absorbing the moment. He had seen this village destroyed. Men, women, children, gone. Now, in this rewind of time, seeing everything whole made his chest ache in a way he wasn't ready for. He closed his eyes and let the sounds wash over him. I got another chance. Don't waste it. His younger body felt awkward. Weak. Too small. His chakra tiny. His reflexes sluggish. Years of battle instincts clashed with a body that hadn't grown into them yet. But he could adapt. He always adapted. Oi, Naruto. Naruto paused. Kiba jogged up to him with a Kamaru perched on his head like a fluffy white hat. You feeling sick or something today? You didn't act like a total idiot for once. Quote, Naruto smirked faintly. Hey, maybe I'm just getting cooler. Kiba scoffed. Yeah right, like you could ever be cool. But for the first time, Naruto didn't rise to the bait. He didn't need to. He knew Kiba would become a loyal comrade. A strong shinobi. A good man. Instead, Naruto simply shrugged. Sure. Whatever you say, dog breath. Kiba blinked. Then grinned. That's more like you. See ya tomorrow. He took off down the street. A Kamaru barked happily. Naruto watched them go, shaking his head. This is gonna take some getting used to. He wandered through the village, moving on instinct more than purpose. The people still looked at him with that mix of suspicion, pity, and avoidance that had defined his childhood. But now that he understood why, now that he knew the truth of the Nine Tails ceiling, he felt calmer. Not forgiving, not forgetting, just more aware. He passed Ichiraku Ramen, and his stomach grumbled loudly. That's right, he muttered. I'm a growing kid again. He stepped inside. The smell hit him immediately, warm broth, fresh noodles, sizzling pork. Naruto wasn't prepared for the wave of nostalgia that crashed into him. Tsuki stood behind the counter, younger but still wide-shouldered and smiling. Ayami carried a tray of bowls, her hair tied back in a neat ribbon. Naruto froze. He hadn't seen him alive in years. Ayami noticed him first. "Hey, Naruto, want your usual?" Naruto's throat tightened. "Why yeah, please." He sat down slowly, almost afraid they'd disappear if he blinked too hard. Chuki served him a bowl a minute later, still steaming. "Eat up, kiddo. You look like you haven't eaten all day." Naruto stared at the ramen. "I watched this shop burn. I saw their bodies." His hands trembled as he picked up the chopsticks. Ayami leaned over the counter. "Everything okay?" Naruto swallowed the lump in his throat and forced a smile. "Yeah, I'm just really happy to be here." They both looked confused, but happy. He took one bite, and it almost broke him. The warmth, the flavor, the simplistic perfection, it tasted like safety. Like home, like something he thought he'd never get back. A single tear slid down his cheek. Ayami gasped. Wait, is it too hot?" Quote. Naruto shook his head. "No, it's perfect." And for the first time since waking in this past, Naruto felt hope settle firmly inside him. He finished the bowl, thanked them sincerely, and stepped outside. The sky was deepening into twilight. He needed to begin training immediately. But young Naruto didn't have access to most training grounds. He had almost no chakra. And going all out with unfamiliar strength could alert the Hokage's surveillance. He needed something small, controlled, hidden. His feet carried him toward the old apartment, rundown, lonely, familiar. He entered quietly, letting the door creak shut behind him. The room was exactly as he remembered. Messy, cold, tiny. But he had slept in far worse conditions during war. He sat cross-legged on the floor and closed his eyes. Let's start simple. Meditation. Focusing on chakra flow. Finding the old pathways his body hadn't developed yet. He inhaled deeply, drawing on memories of training with Jiraiya, of sparring with Sasuke, of meditating with B. His chakra flickered. He stabilized it. It flickered again. He steadied it once more. Damn, this little body really is weak. But little by little, the chakra responded. Like coaxing a candle flame into a steady burn. After an hour, Naruto was drenched in sweat. But he could feel it. His chakra coils had expanded slightly, tiny cracks forming in the limitations of his young form. He grinned, one step at a time. He moved on to physical conditioning, push-ups, squats, light stretches. His muscles burned quickly, but he pushed through it. He knew his own limits. He knew how to build strength safely. He finished when his arms trembled from fatigue. Night had fully settled outside. Naruto collapsed onto his bed. Tomorrow, I need to start planning. Sasuke, the Uchiha massacre, Danzo, Akatsuki, Orochimaru, there's so much. His eyes drifted shut. One day at a time, Naruto. One day at a time. He slept deeply. Morning arrived with blinding sunlight through his window. Naruto groaned and rolled out of bed, body sore in places he hadn't felt sore in years. He washed up, pulled on his orange jacket, and left for the academy. As he walked, something tugged at his senses, a faint, sharp presence watching him. He stopped, eyes narrowing slightly. Anbu, high on a rooftop, masked, still as stone. Of course, the Hokage always had Anbu tail him at this age, just in case the nine tails stirred. Naruto pretended he hadn't noticed and kept walking. But inside, he was already forming a plan to use this to his advantage later. When he reached the academy, Sakura and Ino were arguing at the entrance. A classic childhood scene. Sakura, forehead, really, that's all you can come up with? Ino, please, billboard brow, it's practically your name. Quote. Naruto walked past them and into the classroom. Sasuke glanced at him again, with more curiosity than before. Naruto nodded slightly back. Sasuke frowned deeper. Naruto smirked. He wasn't ready to approach Sasuke directly. The Uchiha massacre was only a few months away. Any sudden behavior could draw unwanted attention. He had to be subtle. But he could start sowing seeds early. Class went as usual until Iruka said, "We'll be practicing shuriken throwing today." Quote. Young Naruto internally groaned. He remembered how awful he used to be at this. But this time, He needed to show improvement, but not too much. He couldn't reveal his full experience. Just enough to change his reputation. He took his stance at the throwing line. Iruka watched closely. The old Naruto would have thrown wildly, missing everything. This time, Naruto lifted his arm slowly, aligning his body properly. QB-trained reflexes, but limit the force. He flicked his wrist. The shuriken spun cleanly through the air, and hit the inside ring of the target. Not a bullseye, but far better than anything he'd done before. The class gasped. Sasuke's eyes widened a fraction. Iruka blinked. Naruto, did you practice last night? Naruto shrugged. Maybe a little. He threw again. Another solid hit. Not perfect, not terrible. Iruka's smile warmed. That's great improvement. Naruto walked back to his seat, pretending to be tired. But inside, perfect. Just believable enough. He needed to steadily build a foundation of competence. That way, when bigger threats arrived, no one would find his growth suspicious. During lunch, he sat alone as usual. Shikamaru and Choji ate clouds away from him. Ino chatted with Sakura. Sasuke sat by himself, ignoring everyone. Naruto saw it all differently now. Before, he'd been jealous and lonely. Now, he felt protective. Almost painfully so. He looked up when someone moved in front of him. Shikamaru. Naruto blinked. Yo, Shikamaru said lazily. You've been weird lately. Naruto chuckled. In a good way or bad way? Quote. Shikamaru plopped down beside him. Troublesome. But, not bad, I guess. This shocked Naruto. Young Shikamaru rarely talked to him unless forced. Naruto tilted his head. Why sit with me? Shikamaru shrugged. You're quieter today. That's less troublesome. Naruto laughed quietly. Choji sat down next to Shikamaru, offering Naruto a chip. Naruto accepted before his emotional heart could stop him. This meant more than they knew. As they ate, Naruto asked, Hey, Shikamaru, what do you want to be? In the future, Shikamaru yawned. A ninja, something simple, and someone who protects his friends, I guess. Naruto smiled softly. Yeah, that's a good dream. Choji nodded happily. Yeah, we can all become strong together. Naruto bit back a wave of emotion. You two die in the war in one timeline, not this time. Never again. He clenched his fist under the table. I'm going to protect you. All of you. After school, Naruto slipped away behind the academy and entered a small wooded training area. He needed to test something. He stood still, breathed deeply, and called to the presence within him. Kurama, he whispered. Only silence answered. Naruto waited. Minutes passed. Still nothing. He sighed softly. Right. Kurama wasn't sealed inside him yet, not fully. At this point in time, the fox was buried deep, locked behind countless suppressions and seals. But Naruto wasn't discouraged. Don't worry, he muttered, smirking. I'll wake you up eventually, fuzzball. Quote. He began practicing basic chakra control exercises, leaf balancing, coil expansion, micro-regulation. Stuff he had mastered decades in the future but needed to adapt for his young body. After an hour, his chakra flow felt smoother, more responsive. Then he tried something harder. Tree walking. Normally it took weeks, even months for him at this age. He placed his foot on the trunk of a tree. His chakra slipped. He fell on his back. Ow. He grunted, stood up, and tried again. This time, he stuck for 3 seconds before the chakra buckled. Seriously, he muttered. Guess I really am a shrimp again. 10 tries later, he managed to stay on the tree for 10 seconds. Progress. Slow, but real. He smiled. One step at a time. I'll be strong enough before the real threats show up. As he trained, the Anbu on the rooftop shifted. Naruto felt it immediately. They noticed the chakra fluctuations. Fine. Let them watch. Let them think he was just an overly ambitious kid. He finished training at sunset and walked home, exhausted but satisfied. As he neared his apartment, he sensed another familiar presence. Old, calm, warm. The third Hokage. Naruto froze. Hiruzen Sarutobi stood outside Naruto's door, pipe in hand, wearing that gentle smile that hid decades of political brilliance. "Good evening, Naruto," he said kindly. "I thought I might find you here." Naruto's heart twisted painfully. Hiruzen, the Hokage he had admired, the grandfather figure he loved, the man who would die in the future during Orochimaru's attack. Seeing him alive felt surreal. Naruto approached quietly. "Old man, why are you here?" Hiruzen chuckled softly. "Anbu reported your sudden improvement. I wanted to see for myself." Naruto stiffened, but the old Hokage placed a hand on his shoulder. "Improvements are good, Naruto. Don't look worried." Naruto hesitated. Then, in a moment of impulse, he stepped forward and embraced the old man lightly. Hiruzen's pipe almost fell out of his mouth. Naruto." Naruto squeezed his eyes shut. "I just wanted to say thanks for everything." Hiruzen stood stunned for a few seconds, then patted Naruto's back with a warm chuckle. "You're a strange boy today." Naruto smiled. "Maybe I'm just growing up." "Maybe you are," Hiruzen replied, eyes softening. Naruto stepped back. "I'm gonna become Hokage one day. And when I do, I'll protect everyone. You'll see." The old man's eyes twinkled. "I believe you will." Naruto swallowed hard. "Hey, old man, just take care of yourself, okay?" Hiruzen looked confused, but nodded kindly. "Of course." Naruto watched him leave, heart heavy. "I'll save you too, Gigi. Even if I have to fight fate itself." As he entered his apartment again, Naruto clenched his fists. "Tomorrow, I start the real plan. The countdown to saving the Uchiha begins." Naruto woke before dawn the next morning, body stiff and muscles sore from pushing himself too hard the previous day. For a moment he simply lay on his tiny bed, staring at the cracked ceiling, letting the faint pre-sunrise glow warm his face. In his old timeline, mornings like this had been normal: exhaustion, bruises, aching bones from non-stop battles. But now it felt peaceful, different, new, a painful kind of new. He sat up slowly. "All right, focus. Day 2. You need a real plan." The air was cold as he splashed water on his face at the sink. His reflection stared back, rounder cheeks, messy blonde hair, eyes too big for his face. A kid, through and through. Yet behind those eyes was the soul of a grown shinobi who had watched the world burn. Naruto clenched the sink tightly. "You're not helpless. You're not that kid anymore. Start small. Build up." He needed strength. He needed connections. And most importantly, he needed intel. When he stepped outside, the village was quiet, lanterns still glowing dimly as early workers began the day. The air smelled faintly of dew and wood smoke. Naruto walked toward the Hokage monument, not to admire it, but because he needed height and quiet. He climbed up slowly, using the rough stone as footing. His small hands struggled, but muscle memory guided him well enough. When he reached the top, standing on the unfinished fourth Hokage's head, he looked out over the village again. Traditional market stalls, narrow streets, the central administration building, the academy, the Uchiha district on the far end, a large enclosed compound, proud and full of life still. Naruto stared at the Uchiha clan's territory for a long time. In a few months, that entire place would become a graveyard. He exhaled shakily. Saving Sasuke isn't the problem. Saving his family is. He knew two things for certain. 1. The coup was real. 2. Danzo manipulated everything. But he couldn't just march into the Hokage's office and say, "Hey, Danzo's planning a massacre, stop him." That would get him detained. Or worse, he needed proof, strategy, allies, and for that, he needed information. Step 1. Filled right pointer gain access to the Hokage's records room, eventually. Step 2. Filled right pointer gain trust to move freely. Step 3. Filled right pointer monitor Itachi. His heart tightened. He would see Itachi alive again. The real Itachi, not the broken, hunted version he knew as an adult. He inhaled slowly and stood, watching sunlight glaze the roofs of Konoha gold. "You'll fix this. One day at a time." Naruto arrived at the academy early for the first time in his life. Iruka nearly dropped his attendance list when he walked in. "Early," Iruka whispered. "Naruto, early. Quote, Naruto grinned. Believe it. His classmates trickled in. Kiba stopped and squinted. Is this some kind of prank? Naruto rolled his eyes. Relax, dog breath. I'm just trying to improve. Kiba made a suspicious, sound but let it go. Shikamaru yawned loudly. Troublesome to see you awake this early. Naruto smirked. Someone's gotta keep you on your toes. Sasuke entered last, eyes flicking toward Naruto briefly. A silent exchange happened between them, an unspoken curiosity from Sasuke, and a calm, almost older understanding from Naruto. Naruto turned away before Sasuke could analyze him more. Today's lesson was more basic ninjutsu. Iruka demonstrated the clone jutsu and asked students to try. This was tricky. Naruto's younger body still struggled with the regular clone jutsu. It was useless to him. He could do shadow clones without hand seals as an adult, but doing that now would blow his cover entirely. You need to fail, but not completely. When it was his turn, he focused on making something, anything, other than a deflated, dying clone. He summoned his chakra slowly, remembering to suppress the deeper instinct to channel too much. Clone jutsu. A puff of smoke. A clone popped into existence, shaky, pale, barely standing, but recognizably a clone and not a puddle of misery. The class gasped. Iruka's eyebrows shot up. Naruto, you actually made one. Naruto scratched the back of his head. Still needs work. Iruka smiled warmly. But this is a big step. Keep practicing. Quote, Naruto smiled, but inside. Perfect. Progress, but not suspicious. After class, students gathered into the usual cliques. Naruto walked alone until Shikamaru called out lazily. Oi, you training again today? Quote, Naruto blinked. Yeah, why? Shikamaru shrugged. Just wondering. Want company? Naruto paused. In his old timeline, he had been so desperate to be acknowledged that even a crumb of acceptance would have made him beam. But now, the request felt different. These were future comrades, future brothers. He didn't want them dragged into danger yet. Still, a little early bonding wouldn't hurt. If you don't mind me being troublesome, Naruto teased. Shikamaru smirked. I already regret asking. Choji waddled over. Can I come too? Naruto grinned. Yeah. They headed to a quiet training space behind the academy. Shikamaru lay down immediately and stared at the clouds. Choji snacked. Naruto began light physical training. After a while Choji asked, Naruto, why are you working so hard now? Naruto paused. Because the world ends. Because people die. Because I have to carry everything. But he couldn't say that. He simply replied, I wanna be strong enough to protect everyone. Shikamaru rolled an eye toward him. That's a big dream for a kid. Naruto smiled softly. It's all I've got. Quote, Choji nodded vigorously. That's cool. Shikamaru sighed. Troublesome, but kinda admirable. Naruto laughed. Slowly, he was building bonds he hadn't built this early the first time. He finished training, wiped sweat from his face, and headed home with lighter steps. But halfway there, he stopped. A chill crawled down his spine. Not killing intent. Not Anbu surveillance. Something else. A presence deep inside him stirred. A faint rumble echoed from within his mind. Brat. Naruto froze. Kurama. He concentrated, sliding into the mental space he had visited countless times before. But instead of the vast sewer-like structure he remembered, he found himself standing in a dark, cramped chamber. Rusty pipes, thick seals, dim light. And behind the bars, a massive red pupil glowed faintly in the dark. Naruto's breath hitched. Kurama. The Nine Tails was smaller. Less defined. Almost like a shadow of his future self. Seals wrapped around him tightly, layer upon layer. The fox snarled weakly. Your chakra woke me. Naruto swallowed hard. Sorry if I disturbed you. Kurama scoffed. HMPH. As if a gnat like you could disturb me. Quote, Naruto grinned. Same old fox. But Kurama's eye narrowed sharply. You feel different. Naruto froze. The fox sniffed the air, growling low. Your chakra smells older. Worn. Like someone who has seen death too many times. Quote, Naruto didn't speak. Kurama leaned forward, pressing against the seal, eyes burning crimson. What are you, brat? Naruto let out a slow breath. You already know, don't you? Kurama stared in silence. Finally Naruto whispered, I made a wish, and it brought me back. Back before everything went wrong. The fox's eye widened a fraction. Then narrowed again. That is impossible. Naruto shrugged. Yeah, well, here I am. The fox grumbled, shifting irritably. Even if I wanted to believe such nonsense, why would you come back to this time? Naruto looked down. To save everyone. Kurama's tail flicked. To change fate. Quote. Kurama's ears twitched. To stop the future where you die. Kurama went still. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then the fox looked away sharply. Idiot. Naruto smiled softly. Missed you too. Quote. The air rumbled with Kurama's low, irritated growl. You are weak right now, Kurama finally said. Pathetically weak. These seals suppress my chakra completely. I know. You won't survive long if real enemies appear. Quote. I know. Kurama's single visible eye gleamed. But you are stubborn. Naruto grinned. Believe it. A huff escaped the fox. Come back when you have more chakra. Maybe then I'll lend an ear. Naruto nodded. As he turned to leave the mental space, Kurama called out. Brat. Naruto looked over his shoulder. Kurama's eye softened. Barely. Don't die again. Naruto's chest tightened painfully. Not planning to. Quote. The mental world faded, and Naruto snapped back to reality, gasping softly. His heart pounded. His bond with Kurama wasn't fully restored, but a spark was there. A beginning. A thread connecting them once more. He wiped his face and continued home. But just as he reached his apartment, someone stepped in front of him. Naruto stiffened. A tall figure with dark eyes, wearing a Jonin vest, Anbu sword strapped to his back. Uchiha Itachi. Alive, young, calm, deadly. Naruto's heart slammed against his ribs. Itachi looked down at him with unreadable eyes. Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto swallowed hard. Why yeah. I've been informed your chakra performance has changed recently. Quote. Naruto's mind raced. Don't panic. Don't show fear. Don't make him suspicious. He gave a small shrug. Just training more. Itachi stared silently for a long moment. Naruto forced his breathing to stay steady. Finally Itachi spoke softly. You should be careful. Rapid chakra growth attracts attention. Naruto blinked. Was Itachi warning him? Itachi's gaze softened, barely noticeable, but Naruto could see it with the eyes of someone who had known him as a comrade, a protector, a tragic hero. Be cautious, Itachi repeated. Naruto nodded slowly. I will. Itachi stepped aside, but Naruto turned suddenly, heart in his throat. Itachi. The Uchiha prodigy paused. Naruto stared at him, trying not to shake. You're a good person. Itachi's expression flickered with surprise. Then he offered a faint ghost of a smile, a rare, gentle expression Naruto had only seen twice in his entire life. Thank you. He vanished in a flutter of crows. Naruto stood frozen, his fists clenched, his eyes burned. I'm going to save you too, Itachi. I swear it. Tonight's events changed everything. He had seen Itachi earlier than expected. Kurama had partially awakened. He was already attracting attention. Good or bad, Naruto didn't know. But he wasn't going to stop. He walked into his apartment, shut the door, and leaned against it. Tomorrow, he needed to begin the next phase. Filled right pointing pointer begin infiltrating the Uchiha district. Filled right pointing pointer find Shisui. Filled right pointing pointer stop Danzo's plot. Filled right pointing pointer and earn the trust of the shinobi world slowly, carefully. Naruto gazed at the ceiling again. This time, no more regrets. No more loss. No more funerals. He lay back on his bed and let exhaustion pull him under. Far away, in the shadows, Itachi stood on a rooftop observing the boy's window. His Sharingan flicked briefly. Naruto had changed, and Itachi didn't yet know if that was good or dangerous. Naruto left the Hokage's office with his heart pounding harder than any battle he had fought in his previous life. The corridors of the tower were familiar yet painfully foreign, cleaner, brighter, livelier. Every Chunin and Jonin he passed greeted him with respect that he had never received at this age the first time around. They didn't know the weight behind his calm stare, the lifetime of battles he had already lived, or the ghost of Kurama sitting silently in his chest. Once outside, Naruto inhaled deeply. The village was bustling, vendors calling out prices, kids running around with wooden kunai, shinobi hopping roof to roof for daily duties. Peaceful, far too peaceful for the storm he knew was coming. He pressed his palm against his abdomen, over the place where Kurama once rumbled with warmth and sarcasm. Now, it was quiet. Too quiet. Guess it's just you now, he whispered. But even emptiness can feel heavy. Naruto's first goal, find Sasuke before the curse mark shatters him. Naruto didn't waste a second. He took off across rooftops, heading straight toward the training grounds where Team 7 usually met. He knew Kakashi would be late, some things were too deeply embedded in the universe to change, but Sasuke wouldn't be. He needed to see him. Needed to confirm he was still the boy who could be saved. Naruto landed silently beside the large riverbank and waited. Minutes passed. Then a familiar chakra signature approached, sharp, cold, simmering with pride meant to hide fear. Sasuke. Naruto turned, and for a moment, he forgot to breathe. Sasuke wasn't the battle-worn avenger he remembered. No Rinnegan, no blood-stained clothes, no curse mark flaring with corruption. Just a 12-year-old brat with too much confidence and too much pain behind his eyes. Sasuke stopped 2 meters away, sizing Naruto up. "TCH, you're early." Naruto smiled softly, not forced, but warm, protective, relieved. "Yeah, just thought I'd come first for once." Sasuke's eyes narrowed, suspicious. "You're acting weird. You have no idea," Naruto murmured. But before Sasuke could question him, Sakura arrived, waving cheerfully. "Good morning. Has Kakashi-sensei come yet?" Naruto forced himself to act normal, but deep inside, something cracked. Sakura's eyes weren't dulled by war. Her smile wasn't strained by trauma. She hadn't yet watched her teammate spiral into darkness, or died in his arms years later. Naruto swallowed. He couldn't let that future come again. Not for any of them. Kakashi arrives, earlier than expected. A puff of smoke. A silver-haired Jonin appearing at the end of the bridge. Naruto blinked. Kakashi-sensei. Early. Kakashi looked at the 3 of them with his lone eye curved gently. "Well, I figured showing up earlier today might be motivating." Naruto nearly laughed out loud. Time really is changing already. But Kakashi's gaze lingered unusually long on Naruto. "You've changed," the Jonin said quietly through his mask. Naruto stiffened. "Huh." Kakashi didn't elaborate. He simply continued the lesson. But his eye never left Naruto for long, like he sensed a storm swirling under the surface. Naruto tests his power. The team training began as usual, bell test exercises, coordination drills, teamwork practice, but Naruto now treated every second differently. He remembered how weak he used to be, how desperate he had been for acknowledgement. Now, every movement he made was controlled, sharp, perfected by decades of battle experience. He destroyed a clone with one strike that shouldn't have been that strong at his age. He dodged Sasuke's surprise fireball with reflexes too honed for a genin. He anticipated Sakura's planned feint before she even moved. Sasuke glared at him, frustrated. "What the hell is wrong with you? You weren't this fast yesterday." Naruto grinned. "Training. Lots of it." Quote. Kakashi raised an eyebrow. He didn't buy that. And Naruto could see something forming in Kakashi's expression, curiosity laced with concern. Naruto realized he needed to tone down. Fast, but too late. Sasuke lunged at him with a speed and aggression Naruto remembered all too well. "You're hiding something," Sasuke growled, fist clenched. "And I'll drag it out of you." Naruto didn't want to fight him. Not like this. Not when he remembered the look in Sasuke's eyes the day they fought in the Valley of the End. He dodged rather than counterattacked. Redirected rather than blocked. Controlled every movement to avoid escalation. But Sasuke was getting angrier. The look in his eyes, it wasn't hatred. It was fear. Fear that Naruto was surpassing him again. Fear of being left behind. Fear of losing someone, again. Naruto clenched his teeth. He knew exactly where this insecurity led. He grabbed Sasuke's wrist mid-strike. Sasuke, stop. The Uchiha froze, not because Naruto caught him, but because of Naruto's voice, calm, steady, older than any 12-year-old had any right to sound. Kakashi appeared beside them in a flash, hand between their bodies. That's enough. Sasuke pulled his wrist back sharply, scowling. Whatever, I'm done for today. He stormed off. Naruto stared after him, guilt clawing at his chest. He wanted to chase him, but Kakashi stopped Naruto with a hand on his shoulder. Walk with me, Kakashi said softly. Kakashi suspects the truth. They walked through the quiet forest. Birds chirped overhead, wind rustled leaves, but Naruto felt tension in the air like a wire pulled taut. Kakashi finally stopped under a tree and looked at Naruto with an unreadable expression. You're not the Naruto I trained, Kakashi said quietly. Naruto froze, but Kakashi raised a hand gently. I don't mean that in a bad way. But your movements, your awareness, the way you handled Sasuke, none of it matches your age or experience. Naruto looked away. Guess I just grew up a little. Kakashi shook his head. This isn't growing up. This is something else. Something heavier. He hesitated, then continued. Your eyes look like mine did after Obito and Rin. Naruto's breath hitched. Kakashi placed a gentle, comforting hand on Naruto's head, like the older brother Naruto always wished he had. You're carrying something. You don't have to tell me what, but I want you to know something important. Naruto looked up. Kakashi's voice softened. You're not alone. Not this time. Naruto's throat tightened painfully. Not this time. How did Kakashi know those words would hit so deep? Naruto couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, could only nod. Kakashi's eye curved in a smile. Good. Come back tomorrow, and try to act your age a bit. You're scaring Sasuke. Naruto snorted. I'll try. Night falls, and Naruto makes his first move. Naruto returned home, lying on his bed staring at the ceiling. Everything was different. Everything was the same, and the future was rushing toward him like a kunai thrown by fate. He needed to act. He needed to prepare. He needed to protect the people he failed. He grabbed a scroll and began writing. Priority targets to protect: Sasuke, Sakura, Hinata, Kakashi, Shikamaru, Gai Sensei, Tsunade. The Uchiha clan remains, if any can be saved. Jinchuriki across nations, future allies, the entire shinobi world, but one name he traced with extra care. Jiraiya. Naruto squeezed the pen so hard his fingers shook. He wouldn't lose his godfather again. Not this time. Not ever again. Naruto stood up, sealing the scroll. Tomorrow, he would begin the first step in rewriting history. Stopping Sasuke from falling. The second step, finding a way to save Jiraiya, without triggering the war early. And the third, unravel the prophecy of the Child of Destiny before it devours the world again. Naruto clenched his fist. Konoha, everyone, I won't fail you this time. His last thought before sleep finally claimed him was a whisper, fragile but determined. Kurama, I'll make you proud. Night in Konoha had always been peaceful, but tonight, it felt like the world was holding its breath. Waiting for Naruto's next move. The moonlight streamed through Naruto's window, casting long shadows across the small apartment. He rested on his bed, staring at the ceiling as countless memories from his previous life began to surface, some warm, others so agonizing that his chest felt hollow. Kurama's voice, Jiraiya's laugh, Sasuke's lonely back, Hinata's trembling hands, Kakashi's bleeding body, Neji's last smile, the war, the losses, the mistakes, the weight of a lifetime was crushing, but this time, Naruto refused to let it bury him. Not again, never again. His hand moved unconsciously to his stomach, remembering what it felt like when Kurama's warm chakra used to flow through him. Now, there was nothing but silence. A silence that felt wrong, like a missing heartbeat. Kurama, if only you were here, he whispered into the dark. But Kurama wasn't. His sacrifice was part of the wish that brought Naruto back. To save them all. Naruto clenched his jaw, sat up, and grabbed the scroll he wrote earlier. The ink was still fresh, some parts smudged where his fingers had pressed too long. One name stared at him like a scar he couldn't tear away. Jiraiya. Naruto's throat tightened. If this second chance meant anything, it meant this old fool wasn't allowed to die again. Not on Naruto's watch. Not ever again. The next morning, a sudden change in Konoha's air. Naruto woke before dawn, as he had during the war. The sky was still purple, dew thick over rooftops. He washed quickly, dressed, and strapped on his old weapons pouch, this time filled with seals, tools, and blades forged from decades of experience. A genin shouldn't carry this much, but Naruto was no genin. Not anymore. When he stepped outside, Konoha was waking slowly. Jonin teams jogged past, children ran with bento boxes, shopkeepers opened their stores. The peaceful bustle was soothing, and terrifying. Because he knew this peace was fragile. Orochimaru would come, Akatsuki would come, Pain would come, Madara would come, Kaguya would come, unless Naruto stopped them, and he would, even if he had to tear the universe apart. Sasuke arrives early, and confronts Naruto. Naruto arrived at the training grounds before sunrise, expecting to be alone. He wasn't. Sasuke was already there, standing with his hands in his pockets, staring at the river, his reflection distorted by ripples. His expression was unreadable, but the air around him felt sharp. Naruto blinked. "You're early." Sasuke didn't move, couldn't sleep. Naruto knew why. Whenever Sasuke felt threatened, by Itachi's memory, by Naruto's growth, by his own weaknesses, he trained until he collapsed. Naruto approached slowly. "Look, about yesterday." Sasuke turned sharply, eyes flashing. "Who are you?" Naruto froze. Sasuke's tone wasn't mocking. He wasn't provoking. He wasn't being dramatic. He was genuinely demanding an answer. "You're not the same idiot who couldn't throw a kunai straight," Sasuke said quietly. "You read people differently. You move differently. You look at me like..." Naruto's heart thudded painfully. "Like you've seen me lose something." Naruto swallowed hard. This Sasuke, young, angry, scared, alone, was the most vulnerable version of him. The version who still had hope buried under layers of pride. Naruto couldn't risk pushing him away. He forced a small smile. "I told you yesterday, training." Sasuke stepped closer, eyes narrowing. "You're lying." Quote. Naruto's chest tightened. If only Sasuke knew how many lies Naruto had told himself just to keep going. Before Naruto could answer, Kakashi arrived behind them in a silent flicker of chakra. "Good morning," Kakashi said casually, but the masked Jonin's sharp eye had already analyzed their tensei. "On." Sasuke clicked his tongue and turned away. Naruto exhaled slowly. This wasn't going to be easy. But he had a lifetime of patience now. Training begins. Naruto holds back for the first time in his life. Kakashi announced a new exercise, chakra control and battle coordination between the three. Naruto knew the routine. He could perform it blindfolded, asleep, or injured. So he silently suppressed most of his chakra, forcing himself to move sloppily, to stumble, to pretend to be less than he was. But Sasuke wasn't fooled, not even for a second. "Stop holding back," Sasuke snapped during a break, grabbing Naruto's collar. "I can tell. Your movements are too deliberate. You're pretending to be weaker." Quote. Naruto bit his tongue. "I'm not." "Liar." Naruto met his gaze, and saw the same thing he had seen years later in the Valley of the End. Fear. Fear of losing Naruto. Fear of being abandoned. Fear of being inferior. Naruto's voice softened. "I'm not lying to hurt you. I'm trying to keep the team stable." Sasuke's grip loosened. "Just a fraction." Naruto continued gently, "If I go all out, it'll only widen the gap between us faster." Quote. Sasuke's jaw tightened. "And you think I can't handle that?" Naruto sighed. "Sasuke, I don't want to be your rival this time. I want to be your teammate." Sasuke froze, visibly shaken. "What?" Naruto smiled, small and sincere. "I don't want us to fight each other. I want us to fight together." For a moment, just a moment, Naruto saw the walls around Sasuke flicker. But before Sasuke could respond, Sakura called out, and the moment shattered. Still, the crack was there. Naruto would widen it slowly, carefully. This time, he wouldn't let Sasuke slip through his fingers. Later that day, Naruto visits someone he lost. After training ended, Naruto didn't go home. He walked past the academy, past the empty playground, past the quiet streets at the edge of the village. He stopped before a massive stone wall carved with names. The memorial stone. Names of heroes. Names of sacrifices. Names of people Naruto had watched die. He crouched slowly and placed his hand over a familiar name, tracing it gently. Obito Uchiha. Naruto closed his eyes, remembering Obito's last moments, his redemption, his smile, his sacrifice. You were the first person who taught me about hope, Naruto whispered. Even after everything you did, you saved me. He clenched his fist. If I can, I want to save you this time too. A rustle behind him. Kakashi stood silently under a tree, hands in pockets, gaze unreadable. You visit early, Kakashi murmured. Naruto smiled faintly. I felt like saying hello. Kakashi stepped closer and rested a hand on the top of Naruto's head again, gentler this time, almost fatherly. Thank you, he whispered. Naruto didn't respond. He didn't need to. Nighttime, Naruto begins his plan. Back home, Naruto unsealed a stack of blank chakra paper, ink brushes, and sealing tags. He spread everything across his table and began writing. Not sloppy, excited scribbles like his genin self. These were precise, refined, near Fuinjutsu master-level strokes. He created communication seals, memory preservation seals, anti-curse mark seals, chakra stabilizers, a barrier tag specifically for Sasuke, a barrier tag for Jiraiya, a sealing trap for Orochimaru, emergency evacuation seals for civilians. Hours passed, moon rose higher, ink dried, chakra burned through his fingers. Naruto finally leaned back. This was just the beginning. Tomorrow, he would begin step 1. Approach Jiraiya, early, before fate could take him away again. Naruto's eyes hardened with resolve. He wasn't the naive boy who waited for events to unfold. He was a man who had watched his world crumble. Now, he would rebuild it, with his own hands, with his second life, with everything he had left. Just wait, Ero Sennin, he whispered. This time, I'm going to save you. Dawn. The day fate should begin to change. Naruto rose before the sun again. Not because he needed to, but because every second mattered now. Every choice, every conversation, every step had the power to rewrite a future drenched in war, blood, and loss. He washed his face quickly, stared at himself in the cracked bathroom mirror, and paused. A young face stared back. Too young, but the eyes weren't. Naruto's eyes were still the eyes of a man who had watched the world burn, had buried friends, had stood over the bodies of comrades who died in his arms. No matter how small his body was, the battlefield still lived in him. He splashed more water on his face and exhaled deeply. Today he would begin his first true intervention. Jiraiya, Naruto's godfather, his first real family, his first mentor, the man whose death shattered his world. In this timeline, Jiraiya wasn't yet preparing to leave for Am. He wasn't writing the last pages of his book. He wasn't marked for death. Not yet. Naruto tightened the cloth of his forehead protector. He would reach him before fate could. Naruto heads to the hot springs, where Jiraiya always starts his mornings. Naruto dashed lightly across rooftops, avoiding early patrols and stray civilians. He knew Jiraiya's habits too well. In the old timeline, Jiraiya was predictable in the most perverted ways possible. If he wasn't writing, training, or drinking, he was at the hot springs. Peeking, Naruto landed silently on a tall wall overlooking the baths and crouched. Yep, there he was, Jiraiya, the gallant, Sannin, legendary Toad Sage, mentor of Minato, researcher of perverted ninjutsu. Currently hanging upside down from a branch with binoculars, humming happily like a man who had never once fought a war. Naruto nearly cried. He's alive, he's actually alive. His throat tightened painfully. Memories rushed in, Jiraiya laughing while teaching him Rasengan, praising him after defeating pain, dying with a smile because he believed in Naruto's future. Naruto squeezed his eyes shut. Not again. Ero Sennin, Naruto shouted. Jiraiya jolted so hard the binoculars flew from his hands and bonked him on the head. He fell in a dramatic tangle of limbs, landing in a graceless heap with a groan. Ow! What the? He sat up, rubbing his head. Who dares interrupt a master at work during peak research hours? Naruto jumped down from the wall. Jiraiya's eyes widened. Oh, it's just you, brat. You almost gave me a heart attack. You should announce yourself politely. Youths these days have no respect. Before he could finish, Naruto moved. He stepped forward and wrapped his arms around Jiraiya's torso, hugging him hard. Jiraiya froze. Utter shock. Wah! Naruto, what's gotten into you? He sputtered, stiff as a statue. Naruto buried his face in Jiraiya's cloak. He couldn't speak, not without crying. He inhaled the familiar scent of ink, sage oil, cheap sake, and mischief. A scent he thought he'd never smell again. Oi! Jiraiya said softly, confused. You're shaking. Naruto didn't let go. I just needed this. Jiraiya slowly, awkwardly, raised his hands and hugged him back. All right, kid, he murmured gently. I'm here. Naruto's eyes burned. No matter how many years had passed, no matter how strong he had become, this man had always been one of the few places he felt safe. Naruto makes a bold move, asking to train under him early. After what felt like minutes, Naruto finally pulled back. Jiraiya looked genuinely worried now. You okay, kid? You're acting weird. Naruto sniffed. I'm fine. I want to train with you. Jiraiya blinked. Huh, I want you to teach me, Naruto said firmly. From now, not later. Now. The toad sage scratched his cheek. Naruto, I wasn't planning on taking a student right now. I'm in the middle of gathering intel, writing a new chapter, conducting research. Naruto's expression hardened. Not angry. Determined. Please. Jiraiya's breath hitched. The sheer desperation in Naruto's voice caught him off guard. Why now? He asked quietly. Because you die. Because I couldn't save you. Because you fought alone. Because I wasn't there. Because you believed in me until your last breath. Naruto's fists tightened. Because I need to get stronger, he said simply. And you're the only one who can help me. Jiraiya studied him carefully, too carefully. His intuition was sharper than people gave him credit for. After a long silence, he sighed. You're hiding something. Naruto stiffened. But, Jiraiya continued, ruffling Naruto's hair, whatever it is, you're still you. Naruto's breath caught. So fine. I'll train you. Naruto almost collapsed in relief. But, Jiraiya held up a finger. Only if you beat me in a test. Naruto blinked. A test. Jiraiya grinned. Steal my notebook. Naruto paled. The one with. Yes, Jiraiya said proudly. That notebook. Quote. Naruto's eye twitched. The notebook full of adult research. The holy grail of perverts. Naruto sighed. Fine, I'll get it. Jiraiya smirked. Good luck. No one has ever touched it. Not even the Hokage. Quote. Naruto grinned slowly. Oh. Trust me, Ero Sennin. I'll get it. He would do anything to stay close to Jiraiya. Anything to alter the path that led to his death. Meanwhile, someone else begins to notice Naruto's change. Far away, on the Hokage mountain, a shadowed figure watched Naruto move through the village streets. His eyes narrowed. His chakra pulsed once, lightly. Testing. Naruto didn't react, but the figure sensed something old. Something heavy. Something impossible. This is troubling, the figure murmured. A raven landed on his shoulder. Its red Sharingan glowed briefly. Itachi Uchiha exhaled slowly. Your eyes, Naruto Uzumaki. He whispered, thoughtful. They look like someone who has lived twice. Naruto's return to the academy, a world too small for his future. The academy classroom felt impossibly tiny now. Naruto stepped inside, and for the first time in 2 lifetimes, every head turned. Kids who once ignored or mocked him watched with a strange sort of confusion, as if they couldn't decide whether he was the same loudmouthed troublemaker or someone entirely different. Because he was different. Too different. He carried 2 decades of battle instincts inside a body that barely reached the top of the chalkboard. Iruka-sensei stood frozen at the front of the class, chalk still in his hand. Naruto, you're on time today. Quote. Naruto blinked. Damn, I didn't think about that. Showing up early was the fastest way to raise suspicion. He scratched the back of his head and forced a childish grin. Hee, thought I'd try something new. Quote. Iruka's suspicious gaze lingered, but he didn't press it. Naruto took a seat in the back, next to the window, his old spot. Except this time, he wasn't looking out of boredom. He was scanning, checking for threats, monitoring chakra signatures, re-evaluating every future ally and every future corpse. He spotted Shikamaru slouched over his desk, already half asleep. Choji crunched chips, crumbs falling everywhere. Kiba argued quietly with a tiny Akamaru in his jacket. Hinata sat stiffly near the front, glancing shyly his way before jerking her gaze down. And Sakura, loud, bright, and painfully young, was lecturing Ino about something Naruto couldn't bother to decipher. All of them alive, innocent, unscarred. Not this time, Naruto thought, his fists tightening under the desk. I won't let any of you die. Iruka began teaching, but Naruto was barely listening. His thoughts drifted to the previous night's meeting with the Hokage, to the masked Anbu watching him from rooftops, and to one question. How much should he change? And how fast? Because every move he made from this point shifted the timeline like a falling domino. Save Haku and Zabuza. Prevent the Uchiha massacre. Stop Orochimaru from ever touching the village. Keep Jiraiya alive. Prevent the Fourth Great Shinobi War entirely. Each one would alter the world, for better or worse. Too big a change too soon could collapse everything. He exhaled slowly. For now, observe. Learn the state of the timeline. Move piece by piece. But the universe had other plans. A sudden attack, a threat too early. It happened almost too fast for even Naruto to react. A faint killing intent washed over the academy like a ripple. Barely a whisper, but enough to make Naruto's instincts flare. He snapped upright, eyes narrowing. Someone just crossed the western wall. Not a villager, not a shinobi from Konoha. And definitely not friendly. Naruto shot a quick look at Iruka. Nothing. The teacher hadn't sensed it. None of the kids had either, except one. Shikamaru's eyes opened a fraction, his lazy gaze sliding toward the windows. Barely noticeable, but Naruto caught it. So he wasn't imagining things. He stood up. Iruka paused mid-sentence. Naruto, sit down. Class isn't. Bathroom, Naruto lied quickly. You don't need to yell that in front of E. But Naruto was already out the door. He sprinted through the hallway, students watching him blur past. The moment he reached the courtyard, he stopped pretending. His posture changed. Shoulders lowered. Breath slowed. Chakra quieted. He was no longer Naruto Uzumaki the academy prankster. He was Naruto Uzumaki, the man who had fought Madara, Kaguya, Ishiki, Ada, Code, and the gods themselves. And someone was on village grounds who shouldn't be. He leapt onto the nearest rooftop, and froze. There, perched on the academy's perimeter wall, was a masked figure clothed in dark gray. They weren't Anbu. They didn't move like one either. Too fluid, too confident, too foreign. Missing Nin. Assassin. Spy. Why now? Why this early? Naruto watched carefully. The stranger wasn't heading toward the Hokage building. They weren't heading toward the Uchiha district. They were heading toward. His blood turned cold. The academy. Naruto's first fight again. The intruder landed silently near the training yards. Small, light. Their chakra was oddly faint, suppressed expertly. Naruto landed behind them, dirt barely stirring under his feet. You picked the wrong village. The figure stiffened, hand reaching toward a kunai. Naruto didn't give them the chance. He vanished. His foot slammed into the intruder's side, sending them skidding across the ground. They rolled, barely catching themselves, and crouched low. Their mask cracked. Naruto's eyes widened. A girl. No older than 14. Thin. Scarred. Eyes sharp with fear and hunger. She wasn't here to kill anyone. She was scouting. Searching for food. Trying to escape from someone. He softened slightly. Why are you here? She didn't answer. Instead, she flashed through hand signs, fast, desperate. Naruto recognized it instantly. Water release, hidden mist technique. Fog spilled out around them, thick and suffocating. Memories hit him like a punch, fighting in the blood-drenched mists of Kirigakure, Haku collapsing, Zabuza crying, war, always war. Naruto's voice hardened. Stop. I'm not your enemy. A kunai sliced through the mist toward his throat. He ducked, grabbed the girl's wrist, twisted lightly, just enough to disarm her without breaking anything, and pulled her into view. She kicked, clawed, fought like an animal cornered. Let me go, she hissed. Naruto froze. That accent, that desperation, that unique chakra signature. No way, it couldn't be, but it was. A survivor of the mist's purges. One of the children Zabuza never managed to protect. A ghost of a future Naruto once heard rumors about, one who died shortly after fleeing the bloody mist. He loosened his grip immediately. I'm not here to hurt you, he repeated softly. You're lying, she hissed, backing away. Everyone lies. Everyone in this village kills people like me. Naruto's breath hitched. She wasn't wrong. The mist's refugees were treated like threats, spies, tools. This girl must have slipped past patrols purely because she was small, fast, and barely alive. He raised his hands slowly. No fighting. Just listen. I'm Naruto. What's your name? She glared. Why should I tell you anything? Quote, because, Naruto said quietly, I know what it's like to be hunted. Her eyes flickered. Doubts surfaced. But then, freeze. Naruto spun. Iruka, several Chunin, Anbu with masks gleaming in the sun. All staring at him, restraining a foreign shinobi youth. I can explain, Naruto began. But the girl panicked. She lunged. Straight at a kunai pointed toward her chest. Naruto's body moved before his mind. He grabbed her and twisted. The kunai dug into his back instead. Kids inside the academy screamed as blood stained the dirt. Naruto! Iruka yelled, horrified. Naruto didn't even flinch. His healing was already knitting the wound. But everyone else saw was a child stabbed in front of them. He tightened his grip protectively around the trembling girl. She's not the enemy, he said firmly, voice echoing with authority far too heavy for his age. Don't touch her. Anbu paused. Even Iruka hesitated at Naruto's tone. The girl stared up at him in shock. He shielded her with his body, blood dripping down his shirt. If you arrest her, Naruto said quietly, you'll have to go through me first. Quote, the courtyard fell silent. Hiruzen's decision, and the first ripple in time. Minutes later, Naruto stood in the Hokage's office again, the girl beside him, shaking, injured, and exhausted. He refused to let anyone cuff her, and no one dared force it after seeing him willingly take a blade. For her, Anbu whispered. Iruka was pale, and Hiruzen looked older than Naruto had ever seen. Why? The Hokage asked softly, would you risk your life for a stranger who infiltrated our village? Naruto didn't hesitate. Because she's not a threat. She's a kid running from things no kid should face. The girl trembled but said nothing. And, Naruto continued, because she reminds me of someone I failed before. Hiruzen's eyes softened knowingly. Naruto stepped forward. Give her asylum. Don't send her back. Don't interrogate her. Just let her live. The Hokage exhaled deeply, weighing the enormous political cost. Naruto held his gaze, letting a fraction of the Nine Tails chakra leak into his aura. Not enough to alarm, just enough to warn. If you refuse, I will take her and leave. Hiruzen finally nodded. Very well, she will be placed under observation, but not imprisoned. Naruto released a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. The girl stared up at him, confused, overwhelmed. Why? She whispered. Why save me? Naruto smiled softly. Because this time, I'm saving everyone I couldn't before. And so the timeline shifted. The first butterfly flapped its wings. A girl who should have died, now lived. And Naruto had only just begun rewriting fate. Naruto Hokage ki office she bahar nikla. Suraj dal raha tar, hawa thandi thi, Aya puri academy shant lagi thi, jitni shant tab kabi nahi thi jab wo betcha tar. Especially mist ki ladki ko hokage ki protection mil chuki thi. Aruka abi bhi shock mi tar. Anbu ab tak samajan ki koshish kar rehi the ki ek chota betchakyun ink sam sherbana char raha tar. Naruto ne sab ko ek hi bart dikayi thi. Wo fear she jan manahi, wo wapas beja gaya tar. Aya is bar wo kisi ko man nahi diga. Wo academy ki boundary ki pass ruk gaya. Peli kar Naruto iss jaga kobas ek school samaj tar, but ab. Yer ek battlefield tar. Yer hyuska badalt hu future kar pelakadam tar. Wo arsman ki taraf dekta raha. Hal ki si muskan ayi. Kuch to change ho gaya, usne dia shekaha. Arch peli jan bachali. Quote, Hawa ne uska bal hilaye. Uski ankon mi wo purani thakan nahi thi, surf ek nai determination. Wo palbar ko ruka academy ki and a betchan ki awazain sunta raha. Hasna, Ladna, Hanzi, Sab Kuch Bilkul Wise High Jays Ek Normal Childhood Hona Chahiye. Wo Paltar Jab Naruto Ko Esars Hua. Is Baraska Mission Surf Dunia Ko Bachana Nahi. Is Baraska Mission Unmuskaratan Ko Zinda Ragnar Tar. Usne Akri Bar Sunset Deka, Dubte Husuraj Ki Lal Roshni Mi Basa Hua Pura Kanoa. Aya Usne Dil Mi Ek Fazla Dr. Bas, Abgulti Nahi Hogi. Is bar main Sabko Bashanga. Sabko. Naruto ne arpni choti si bandaged back ko touch kia. Jahanus ladki kilie wo kudgail huatar. Ek muskan. Ek naya future. Ek nai shuruit. Aya kahani yahan shant hokar ruk gayi. Naruto, Jomar chukatar. Ab ek nai dunia bachane kilie fir she chal pada. Thank you.